My name is Laura. I was 22 years old, and I needed a job. Not just any job, but a good job that could give me enough money to build a better life. One morning, while reading the newspaper, I saw an advertisement. A wealthy man was looking for a maid to take care of his house and his two young children. The salary was good, and because I needed the money, I decided to apply. The address took me to a beautiful neighborhood. When I arrived, I stopped in front of a huge house. It was bigger than any house I had ever seen. There was a large garden, tall windows, and a beautiful front door. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. After a few seconds, the door opened. A tall man was standing there. He had dark hair and tired eyes. He looked like someone who had not been happy for a very long time. "You are here for the maid position?" he asked. "Yes, sir. My name is Laura," I replied. "I am Jackson." He did not smile. Jackson invited me inside and showed me around the house. Everything was beautiful. There was expensive furniture, large paintings, and decorations that probably cost more money than I could imagine. But despite all its beauty, the house felt empty. There were many photographs of a beautiful woman on the walls. She looked elegant, but she was never smiling in any of the pictures. Her eyes always looked serious and sad. I wondered who she was. Then Jackson took me upstairs to meet the children. They were twins, a boy and a girl. They were 7 years old. Their names were Shane and Zara. The children stood together quietly. "This is Laura," Jackson told them. "She will be your new maid." Neither child said anything. They simply looked at me. I smiled at them. "Hello, Shane." "Hello, Zara. It is nice to meet you." They remained silent. Jackson later explained everything to me. "Their mother passed away 1 year ago," he said. "She died in a car accident. The children have not been the same since then." I looked at Shane and Zara again. Suddenly, I understood why they were so quiet. This job was not going to be only about cleaning the house, cooking meals, and taking care of 2 children. There was a family here that was still suffering from a great loss. I needed the money, but I also felt that these children needed someone. So I accepted the job. My new life began. I lived in a small bedroom inside the enormous house. Every morning, I cleaned the rooms, prepared breakfast, washed the dishes, and took care of Shane and Zara. At first, the children barely spoke to me. They spent most of their time in their rooms. Sometimes they looked at their mother's photographs for a long time. I tried everything. I played games with them. I read them stories. I took them into the garden. I helped them draw pictures. Slowly, they started to trust me. One evening, Shane and Zara were sitting at the table, drawing a picture together. I was sitting beside them, making silly comments about their drawings. Suddenly, both children started laughing. Their laughter filled the quiet room. I did not notice Jackson standing in the doorway. When I looked up, he was watching us. His expression was different. For the first time, I saw something warm in his eyes. "They have not laughed like that in a very long time," he said quietly. I smiled. They just needed someone to make them laugh. Jackson looked at me for a moment. "Thank you, Laura." It was the first time he had spoken to me about something personal. From that day, things slowly began to change. The children became happier, and Jackson started spending more time with us. He still worked a lot, but sometimes he joined us for dinner. The house no longer felt quite as cold, but not everyone was happy about the changes. One Tuesday afternoon, a woman arrived at the house. She was beautifully dressed and looked very confident. "I am Caitlin," she said. "I am Amelia's sister." Amelia. That was the name of Jackson's late wife. Caitlin looked at me from head to toe. "You are the new maid?" She gave me a small smile, but there was nothing friendly about it. "I see." From that day forward, Caitlin visited the house often. She watched everything I did. She did not like the way I played with the children. She did not like the way they talked to me. She did not like the fact that Jackson seemed happier. One afternoon, she found me alone in the kitchen while I was washing dishes. "You think you can just walk into this house and take my sister's place?" she asked. I turned around in surprise. "No, of course not. I am only the maid." She laughed. "Let me tell you something, little maid." I stopped washing the dishes. This perfect family you think you see here was never perfect. It was a lie from the beginning. I did not know what to say. "Jackson was never happy with my sister," Caitlin continued. "He was cold. He cared more about his work and business trips than his marriage. Amelia was lonely in this huge house." My heart sank. "You cannot make him happy," she said. "He does not know how to love. He is not capable of it." She turned and walked away. I stood alone in the kitchen, thinking about her words. Was Jackson really that cold? Was his sadness because he missed his wife? Or was there something more behind it? I began to wonder if accepting this job had been a mistake. Caitlin continued visiting the house and making me feel uncomfortable. One afternoon, she was sitting in the living room with Jackson, the children, and me. She looked directly at me. "The children need a real mother, Jackson," she said. "Not just a young girl who plays games with them." I felt embarrassed. I wanted to leave the room, but before I could say anything, Jackson spoke. "Laura is very good to my children, Caitlin." Caitlin looked at him. "She makes them happy, and that is enough." I stared at Jackson. His words meant more to me than I expected. For the first time, I realized that something between us had changed. He was no longer just my employer, and I was no longer just the maid who worked in his house. There was something neither of us had spoken about. After Caitlin left, Jackson and I stayed in the living room. "You are a miracle, Laura," he said. I looked at him, unsure of what to say. He came a little closer, then he gently kissed me. It was a short and soft kiss. When he moved away, we simply looked at each other. Neither of us spoke, but we both understood that something had changed. The next morning, everything became difficult. Caitlin came into the house without calling first. "Where is Jackson?" she asked. Before I could answer, Jackson came out of his office. He looked at me and smiled. Caitlin noticed the smile. Her face immediately changed. "What is going on here?" she asked. "Caitlin, please," Jackson said. But she ignored him. She looked at me angrily. I warned you, little maid. I felt my heart sink. You think you can steal my sister's husband in her own house? It is not like that, I said. You are a gold digger, she shouted. You are using a sad man who is still grieving for his wife. Her words hurt deeply. I looked around the house. The photographs of Amelia were everywhere. Caitlin was right about one thing. This had once been Amelia's home. I felt like an outsider. I am sorry, Jackson, I said quietly. What? I will pack my things. I ran upstairs before he could stop me. My eyes filled with tears as I packed my clothes. A few minutes later, the bedroom door opened. It was Jackson. He looked worried. Laura, don't listen to her. She is right, I cried. This is wrong. I am only the maid. No, Jackson said firmly. You are much more than that. I sat on the bed. Jackson sat beside me. He looked into my eyes. Caitlin was right about one thing, he said. My marriage was not happy. Amelia and I were lonely even before she died. I listened silently. When she died, I lost more than my wife. I lost the life I thought I was supposed to have. I stopped feeling anything. I worked all the time because work was easier than thinking about my pain. He paused. But then you came into this house. I looked at him. You brought happiness back to my children. You brought laughter into these rooms. You made this house feel like a home again. My eyes filled with tears. I never expected to feel this way again, he continued. But I do. He took my hand. The kiss was not a mistake. My only mistake was waiting so long to tell you how I feel. I looked at him. Laura, I am falling in love with you. Please don't leave. I did not know what to say. I want us to build a real family together, he said. I thought about Shane and Zara. I thought about the laughter that had returned to the house, and I realized that this place no longer felt like a workplace to me. It felt like home. 6 months passed. The house was completely different. It was no longer filled with silence. There was laughter in the kitchen, footsteps in the hallway, and children's voices throughout the rooms. Shane and Zara were happy again. They still missed their mother, and we never tried to erase her memory. But they had learned that it was possible to feel happiness again. Caitlin stopped visiting. My old bedroom became a guest room. I was no longer living there as a maid. I shared the master bedroom with Jackson. And every morning when I woke up, I could hardly believe how much my life had changed. Jackson was also different. The sad man I had met 6 months earlier was gone. His eyes were warmer. He smiled more. He spent time with the children. Most importantly, he finally seemed alive again. One evening, Jackson held my hand as we stood in the garden. "Are you happy, Laura?" he asked. I looked at our home. Then I looked at him. Finally, I looked at Shane and Zara playing together nearby. I thought about the young woman who had arrived at this house 6 months earlier, carrying a small bag and searching for a job. I had come here because I needed money. I never expected to find a family. I never expected to find love. And I certainly never expected this enormous, lonely house to become my true home. "Yes," I told Jackson, "I am happier than I ever dreamed I could be." He smiled. Soon I would become Jackson's wife. My life had not followed the plan I once imagined, but perhaps that was the beauty of it. Sometimes, the place where you least expect to find happiness becomes the place where your heart finally belongs. I came to this house as a maid looking for a job. I found a family, 2 children I loved like my own, and a man who had forgotten how to smile. Love did not arrive loudly. It came slowly, through kindness, patience, laughter, and trust. And sometimes the saddest hearts do not need someone to save them. They simply need someone willing to stay, listen, and bring a little light into their darkness. Love can grow in the most unexpected places. And sometimes the home you are searching for is not a place at all. It is the people who make you feel that you finally belong.